Hey guys, welcome to the channel and welcome back to another video. On today's video, we're going to talk about ETFs. My top 9 ETFs to own Nvidia stock. So if you can hear me, guys, do me a favor and give me a thumbs up. Give me 1 second here. Make sure we got our settings right, and then we're going to jump right into it, guys. Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me and see me okay. I really would appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Regina's in the house. Looking forward to having this conversation. Buffalo, New York. The Willie Wilo's here. Jimbo Slice. Good to have you guys. Let's go ahead and get right into it. I'm going to first share my screen with you, and we're going to talk about some ETFs that hold Nvidia and hold a nice chunk of Nvidia, because I realize that a lot of people don't want to just have Nvidia stock as a single stock. You want to invest in Nvidia as in an ETF, right? In a bucket of stocks along with other stocks, right? To kind of hedge your risk and do some other things we'll talk about. So first thing I want to do, I just want to pull up one to get us started here, guys. I want to pull up one ETF that hopefully you guys can still see me. Yep, there we go. All right. So I'm on Yahoo. I like to use Yahoo Finance, guys, ticker symbol Yahoo. I like to use it because it's kind of simple, to the point. So let me plug in SMH. This is one of the ones I want to kind of look at. SMH is a VanEck Semiconductor ETF. And I'm just going to pull that up real quick so we can look at it and just kind of go over it a little bit. I got 9 of them, so I'm just trying to give you one to get us started. Let me see if I can. It's working. It's working in the background. Computer's running a little slow, but that's all right. There we go. All right. So VanEck Semiconductor ETF SMH is up first. So this is one of the top 9 ETFs, in my opinion, that hold Nvidia, right? In case you didn't want to get to the point where you owned the single stock Nvidia, you could always own it in this ETF SMH, trading currently at $243.46 per share. Now, let's see here. Looks like we got a little glitch in our screen here. It's not bringing up our. Let's see. We'll go to another one real quick. Yeah, I like that one better. So let's go ahead and close out of this one. And let's see here. Give me a second here, guys. I'm working it. Thank you so much, by the way, for being here, guys. Thank you for joining me on this Saturday. Appreciate you saying, hey, let me go ahead and hook up with this guy, Smart Money Bro, and let me see what he's talking about in terms of NVIDIA, because I know a lot of folks want to see it. And we talked about this last week. I said, well, we're going to postpone it to maybe Sunday or Monday. I said, let's do it on Saturday. So let's go ahead and stay here. That's our VanEck Semiconductor ETF. Right? Now give me just a second here. Let's see here. All right. And I'm just all over the map here, looking at all kind of stuff. So bear with me. Lots of things on my screen in front of me that you cannot see. Let's see here. All right. And by the way, guys, this won't be a super duper long one. This will be a fairly short live, but I think I don't like Google. Let me get out of Google. It's going to be a fairly, I would say a fairly quick live today, right? But hopefully it'll be pretty impactful for those of you that are looking for information on how to buy this stock without having to go through the volatility that you see with NVIDIA going up and going down and going up and going down. So I went ahead and shared my screen back on Yahoo, by the way. So just looking at the stock, this ATF on Yahoo, guys, we can see that NVIDIA right now holds about 19.03%. 19.03% of this entire ETF is NVIDIA. And let me show you on the side here, guys, and I'll just kind of thumb through this real quick, but on the side, there's different things you can do. I'm on Yahoo Finance. Decided to go back there. But you see, Nvidia holds 19.03% of this ETF. So an ETF is just a bucket full of stocks, as we know. And in that bucket full of stocks, you got different companies in there. It could be 50 of them. It could be 200 of them. Could be 3,000 of them. Different companies are in that bucket of stocks. And when you have different companies in a bucket of stocks, they each, if it's a weighted ETF, each one of those companies by market share, that determines how much weight they hold in the bucket. So by market share, Nvidia holds 19.03% of the weight in the bucket called VanEck SMH ETF. All right. So TSM, another nice semiconductor out of Taiwan, chip company, holds about 13% in SMH. All right. So SMH is one of those ETFs where you can say, hey, I don't want to, have all of the risk associated with owning a single stock like Nvidia. And if you don't want to have all that risk, then this is a nice place to be. You can still get 19% of this ETF in Nvidia, and that's a pretty large chunk. That's actually one of the largest chunks of the 9 ETFs that we're going to talk about. But SMH tracks what they call like the MVIS US listed semiconductor 25 index, which includes the largest and really the most liquid semiconductor companies that are involved in producing and equipping semiconductors, right? So 19.0% is a nice chunk, right? Nice chunk. We can also look at the chart. We can see what the performance of this has been, right? And my computer's running a little slow. Let me see what my connection looks like, guys. Let me see what my connection looks like. Hopefully we're connected. Yeah, we got good connection. We're great. We're great. So, and the chart's going slow. For some reason, guys, my computer is just like really, really, and I don't know why, because this is a fairly new computer. So I'm going to boom, boom, boom. Just looking at the performance. Hopefully we won't go this slow on each one. We'll start to catch up. But that chart is still loading. But the point is this. I'll let the chart load. But the point is this, guys. This is a nice place to be. Okay? It's a nice place to be. Most people that want to say, I don't want to get Nvidia in a single stock, they say, okay, give me one that has a bunch of Nvidia. Now, some of the other ones are going to have a lot of Nvidia, but not this much. But this VanEck SMH is a solid ETF, absolutely. Right? I'm just looking at some of these, what you guys are talking about here. So, and there's other holdings, and I won't wait on the chart necessarily. But let me look at the summary real quick and just see a little bit about the summary and just talk about it real quick. Let's see here. Profile it. Yeah, we're just really slow. I don't know why. Very interesting. Coming to almost like a stop, right? But year-to-date total return so far, right here, guys, this is nice. You're looking at 39% year-to-date. That's tremendous for this ETF. So if you're looking for one that holds a lot of Nvidia, SMH is a solid place to be, right? There's a size box or style box from Morningstar. Size, large growth, meaning obviously these are companies that are looking to grow. And as a single stock, when you look at these growth companies that are expected to perhaps do above average returns, you're going to be looking at some volatility. So I always want to keep that in mind as well in terms of even this ETF is going to show some volatility. And I know the whole point of an ETF is to reduce volatility, right? But you're going to still see some volatility in some of these ETFs that are large technology ETFs because the whole sector of technology is cyclical. It's going to be affected by a lot of different things, geopolitical, you name it, right? So, man, I really want to bring up that chart. I certainly did want to bring up that chart. So I'm a little mad about that chart, man. I want to see that chart. Let me see if I can do it again. We'll see. Just bear with me, guys. You know how that works. Technical glitches and technical difficulties happen all the time. There's the chart. Look at that chart. There it is. There it is. So I don't want to do any comparisons, just to show you guys that, you've got some upswing here in the last day. Let me look at it for over a month. See where we are in terms of a month. And of course, we're going slow again. But hang in there with me. Hang in there with me. I appreciate you being here, guys. Charts ain't working like my charts wanted to work, but that's all right. Maybe I'll go to historical data. That might give me some information. All right. Nah, not the information I wanted, but that's all right. So first one up, SMH. SMH. Write it down, put it in your memory box, add it to your watch list, however you want to do it, and you'll be able to see that that's a solid ETF, right? Solid ETF year to date. And I like it. I like it. I've been asked about it. Now, I don't have any SMH, full disclosure, right? I don't have any SMH, so I'm not saying that I buy it. I'm not telling you what to buy. I'm just giving you these because this is a starting point. When I ran that, I ran my poll back on YouTube yesterday. The poll was simply, do you own Nvidia at all? And believe it or not, 21% of people said yes, but only in ETFs. And then 25% of the people said yes as a single stock and an ETF. That's 46% of the people. Now, how many people voted? More than 1,400 people voted on the YouTube poll in the community tab. 1,400 people voted on YouTube, and 46% of them said, yes, I own it as a single stock. I'm sorry. Yes, I own it only in an ETF or as a single stock and an ETF. So that's 46% of the people that actually own Nvidia in an ETF, right? That's quite a bit. So because of that, these are some suggestions that you should be looking at. And one is VanEck, their SMH ETF. All right. So I want to spend the time here talking about 8 others that I think are solid, right? That I think are solid possibilities that if you don't own them, you should look into probably taking a look at them, right? Now, there's more than 1,200 ETFs that hold Nvidia stock, guys. I can't list all 1,200 of them, right? But I can give you 9. Why do you want an ETF as opposed to the single stock of Nvidia, right? Let's see. I'm going to just look at our chat real quick. Let me see what we got. XOK is heavy. Yep, XOK is real heavy. Absolutely. I think that might have made the list. I'm not sure if it's XOK or XLF that made the list. Chewy in the house. Gotta give him a shout out. Thank you, Chewy, for being here. Rhonda White's here. Grayman's here in the Philly suburbs. Good to have you. Let's see here. Jimbo Slice is here. Bees is here. Good to have you. Let's see. The Walla Mala's in the house as always. Z Owens, good to have you too. Validated, good to have you. Let's see. I thought I saw a question with a Q. Let's see here. NVIDIA is going to 145 in the coming 30 days. Possible. Remember, though, September's usually a down month in terms of the market. What is Brad said? What is everything you own in single stocks and ETF? Brad, if you want the full list, go join me on Patreon. I have a few videos over there you can check out. But in terms of my ETF portfolio, it's typically going to be on Vanguard. So I'm going to own an index fund, right? The S&P 500 index fund on Vanguard. I'm going to own some VYM over there. I'm going to own some other things. But you want to go over there for that full list. Or I've done a few videos that really wrapped up the full list of stocks, individual stocks, and ETFs. Maybe that'll be one we'll talk about here shortly. Maybe in a few days or so, we'll have that conversation again on the YouTube channel. But we've had it already on the other channel, on the Patreon already. So And here's why. Here's one of some of the reasons you want an ETF, right? It's going to be the best of both worlds. Between stocks and index funds, it's going to be sort of the best of both worlds. ETFs can be bought and sold throughout the day, just like single stocks, right? So you don't have to trip on that. ETFs are a bucket of stocks, so it's going to reduce your risk a little bit, right? ETFs are going to spread your diversity around a little bit into a bigger bucket of all different types of companies. So if one goes bad, if you have Nvidia in an ETF and it's about 5% of the ETF, if Nvidia goes bad, not a big deal. It doesn't pull the rest of the entire ETF down. So you're spread around in terms of your risk, right? Instead of having all your risk wrapped into one single stock, right? Diversification, right? Diversification. Also, ETFs, guys, are really a lot easier to research than single stocks. Single stocks, you really need to know a lot about a company before you take the risk of investing in a single stock, right? And you don't have to. You can do it the way you want to do it. But I'm saying to do it the best way, you want to really do your research pretty thoroughly. With an ETF, you might research a company for 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, right? A couple of days. With an ETF, you're just looking at the ETF in general. You're not looking at all the specific companies, all the specific companies stuff, right? Management, PE ratios and earnings report. You're not doing all that for an ETF. An ETF is much simpler to research. So for a lot of people that are new to investing, or more, not these people that want to dig deep, that's not what an ETF. You don't have to do all that for an ETF, right? You really don't. If you believe in AI and you believe that AI is going to be the next big thing, it's going to be blowing up like the internet blew up in 1999, 2000, 2002, 3, and 4. If you think that's AI, then some of these semiconductor ETFs or ETFs that hold a lot of technology or AI technology, that's where you want to be. Right? Because they're going to be tracking a bunch of companies that are specific to the AI industry, right? Or broad technology, what have you. So ETFs just offer I would call it more of a soft landing, so to speak, for people who want to be involved in the stock market but don't want to actually own single stock. So that's just some of the reasons I say, look, maybe you need to consider an ETF, right? If you don't want to go through the rigmarole or the risk of an individual stock. So we got that one. Another one I want to bring up to you guys is SOXX, right? Let me know in the chat box, guys, Let me know in the chat if you own SOXX, right? And you say, well, what is SOXX? SOXX is SOXX. It also holds quite a bit of Nvidia, a nice chunk, right? Probably not what VanEck or some of the others hold, but SOXX, it's basically an ETF that focuses on tracking investment results of companies, again, in the semiconductor sector, right? And Nvidia is a prominent player in that, obviously, right? So let me bring up my screen real quick. I want to go through this on my screens so you guys can see what we're looking at, all right? Not just me talking about it, but us actually going through it and you seeing exactly what it is, right? Let me see if this chart will work. Let's see. Let's give it a shot. So this is SOXX, ticker symbol. Some of you may own it. Some of you may not own it. And I'm having a hard time with those charts, man. Let's just go back to summary because I don't want to belabor the point. Trading currently at 231.14 cents is SOXX. It's an iShare, right? So we can still get a chart here, right? So currently up a little bit. Everybody had that little dip right here. Boom, boom. But solid ETF. Solid ETF right here. So we're talking about net assets over 14 billion. Year-to-date total return is right here, guys. 20%, 20.64%. Super low expense ratio at 0.35%. Very, very low. PE ratio trailing 12 months, 1133. 52-week range. Big range, by the way. Why a big range? It's a semiconductor ETF. Here's the 52-week range, meaning that this is what it's sold for over the last 52 weeks. all the way down to 144 up to 267, currently trading at 231. So it's at the top of the range for the last year, which most of these technology stocks are, right? But solid SOXX is a nice one. And in terms of holdings, let me see if I can't go to my holdings tab and just break down what is in this bucket called SOXX. Here we go. Ticker symbol AVGO, which is Broadcom, 9.62%. Nvidia, second largest in this bucket at 8.49%. So that means it weighs 8.49% of this bucket is weighted within Nvidia. Of course, you got AMD in here. Qualcomm is in here, right? TSM, there's Taiwan Semi is right here. So this is 100% technology. The top 10 holdings hold about 57% of the total assets. Solid place to be right now. But again, the 52-week range is a big range, 144 up to 260 something. So that means that there's volatility there, which there is with most of these ETFs, more so than most ETFs, right? Because these are growth stocks that are in the bucket that are going to see large fluctuations. So I like SOXX, solid, right? Solid, SOXX. Again, what I'm doing is giving you a few of these that I believe my top 9, that's 2 right there, SMH and SOXX. Now, another one that you guys have heard about is QQQ, right? QQQ, let's look it up and see what we got with that one. That's number 3, QQQ. I'm just going down the list, guys. Yeah, we got a strong connection. Right? Let's see here. Matter of fact, let's see. Hey, Mia's here. I think it's Mia or Maya, but it's Mia. If you over the age of 40, it's Mia. If you under the age of 40, it's probably Maya. I just made that up. I don't know. I'm just talking, right? But you can tell me. I don't know. But hopefully it's one of those two. I think it is. Hey, Alvira's in the house. Good to have you, Alvira. Unboxing is in from Colorado. I'm investing in ETFs, SEHD, VOO, and SMH. Those are solid right there. Some overlap, but they're solid, right? Got to be careful with ETFs in terms of overlap, guys. Anyone use Interactive Brokers? IB. Willie Wilo, I don't use IB. IB actually reached out to me to be a channel partner of mine, but I turned them down because I don't use IB. That was a while back. That was quite a while back. Somebody said looking at Palantir. Yes. Hey, Chewy's in the house, dropping dimes again. Thank you, Chewy. I appreciate you. 7 people watching from my auto repair lobby. Hey, how you guys doing out there? And matter of fact, I got a 07 Camry right now that I got to get front brakes on. I'm feeling some wobbling as I press on the brakes, so I'm hoping it's not rotors in the whole 9. I'm hoping it's just brake pads. But that's one thing I don't do. And I'm a Jiffy Lube guy, right? I know the lobby. I'm a Jiffy Lube guy. Now, that's not a real mechanic, right? That's just a technician guy. But I used to love being in that lower bay down there, getting my hands dirty, changing out transmission filters that was 1989, 1990, 91, something like that. Worked there for 2 years. One of my favorite jobs. Well, welcome, guys. Glad to have you. And thank you so much for the super chat, Chewy. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So QQQ. Let's talk QQQ, right? QQQ. Solid. Expensive. Not expensive. The stock, the price for it is a little bit higher than some of the others I'm going to talk about at $476 per share as of close of business yesterday. 52-week range from 342 to 503. Again, at the trading currently at the top of the range for the year for the last 52 weeks. Year-to-date total return 16.64%. That's not bad. Most of these that we're talking about, they have a year-to-date total return so far this year above or right at or near the S&P 500. But that year-to-date is not bad. If you can get a 16% return on your ETF year-to-date, you're doing pretty good, man. I think the S&P 500 is around 16% right now, too. I'll have to look that up. But notice the yield. I'm not the yield. Notice the expense ratio, 0.2. Low, low, low. Not the lowest, but low, right? Inexpensive. That's another good thing about ETFs. They're not very expensive to own, guys, right? Because they're just tracking an index. They have a manager, but the manager's not in there, picking and choosing, moving stuff in and out. The manager's just there kind of as a light fixture on the wall, right? Because they don't have it's pass ETFs are passively managed for the most part, right? So solid ETF called QQQ. And I know you guys have asked me about QQQ before. It tracks basically the NASDAQ 100 index, which basically includes 100 of the largest non-financial companies out there, right? In terms of holdings in QQQ, let's look at what it holds in there and how much of Nvidia is in QQQ, right? That's an Invesco, by the way, offered by Invesco. So Nvidia is about 7.59% of that bucket in QQQ. Apple's almost 9%, Microsoft's 8%. But look, it's got these are all Mag 7. Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, Broadcom, Meta. These are all Mag 7s, guys. All Mag 7s up in Invesco. You got Alphabet, you got both types of shares. You got Costco, which is having a banner year, by the way. If you haven't looked at Costco as an individual stock, take a look at it. So solid, lots of technology. Over here, you got the sector weightings. This is 50%, 51% technology, 15% in communication services, consumer cyclical at 12%, healthcare 6%. These are the different sectors of the companies that are in there. These are the actual companies themselves. 50%. The top 10 companies hold 50%, right? Not a bad place to be at QQQ. QQQ would be my third, right? We had SMH, we had SOXX, and now we got QQQ. Let's go to the fourth one. Fourth one is, somebody mentioned it earlier, XLK. Let's look at XLK real quick. Let's put that in the ticker symbol and see what comes up. Now, XLK, guys. XLK is the ETF, an ETF that provides investment results that are technology-based, right? Technology sector. Trades at about precisely 220 and 33 cents per share right now. Still taking a long time, man. I'm still dragging, right? So year-to-date returns for XLK, 14.86%. Expense ratio, 0.09. Super duper cheap. This is a super duper cheap ETF to own. PE ratio, trailing 12 months, is about 41. Kind of high, but technology is usually high, right? The 52-week range from 159 to 238. That's a nice big chunk of a range, right? And let's look at some of the holdings. We won't even go through the chart. Let's look at the holdings real quick and see what's actually in XLK. What's in that bucket called XLK? Guys, do me a favor. Hit the like button for me. Just tap on that thumbs up, right? Nvidia. Look how much Nvidia you can get if you hold XLK. 19.88% of the ETF is Nvidia. 21%, over 21%, is Microsoft. So if you want to have a ETF that has a whole big chunk, 40% just in two single stocks, and it's 100% technology, XLK is not a bad place to be, right? You got Apple, you got Broadcom, you even got Salesforce in here, and Adobe appears well. But 65% of the ETF is wrapped up in the top 10 holdings. That's a big old chunk right there. If you're bullish on technology, this might be a route you might want to consider going, right? So it's going to be a little more risky and a little more volatility than some of your other ETFs, right? But XLK is out there. out there for the taking for you. All we're doing on this video, guys, is running through 9 ETFs that you can buy Nvidia in, right? Don't forget, channel partner on this one is Mint Mobile, as always. Premium wireless services for inexpensive, and an inexpensive way to have your premium wireless. They use the largest 5G network. You will never see a store called Mint Mobile. They don't have box stores, right? Cut out all, everything's done online. Very good customer service, I must mention. But I use them, so I like. Now I don't promote any company on this channel that I don't use and I don't believe in, because I don't want to pass you guys on to some ragtag company, right? So I believe Mint Mobile's a great company. I'm using StreamYard for this video. Solid. A fifth grader could use StreamYard. That's how easy it is to use StreamYard, right? It's very simple. It's like when you look at the backside of StreamYard, it's like looking at a fifth grade workbook or something, right? It's like super simple. So that's why I say, hey, check out StreamYard. Really solid. So and I've been using StreamYard about four or 5 years now. So all right, next one up on the list. That was number 4, I believe. No, XLK was number 4. Absolutely. Next up on the list, guys, is one that you might have heard of. This one's VGT. Now, you're saying, what is VGT? I actually got rid of some VGT not long ago. Somebody asked me what I had in my holdings. I had VGT, but I got rid of it. It's coming up. There it goes. We're going slow. It's the Vanguard's IT Index Fund. Vanguard's IT Index Fund. Right? IT stocks. IT stocks from Vanguard, who offers this particular one. Now, expense ratio 0.1. Cheap. Year to date, total return 19.03%. 19.03%. Great return. Great return. PE ratio, trailing 12 months, about what the last few have been, around $40, $42 right here. 52-week range from 397 all the way up to 609, currently trading at 573. Again, another technology ETF that is currently at its near its 52-week high. Why? Because technology's been killing the game this year, right? So most of them are going to be trading right about near, $30, $40, within $30, $40 of their 52-week high, right? Which we can see on the chart here as well, or on the year-to-date chart, which we won't go to. But let's look at the holdings for Vanguard. Vanguard's holdings. What is in Vanguard? I'm sorry, VGT. What is in VGT? What is in VGT? The bucket called in VGT. 99.34% technology. Apple, 17%. Microsoft, almost 16%. Nvidia, just over 14%. So that's 32, 46, 46% of this ETF is wrapped up into 3 stocks. 61% of this entire ETF is in the top 10 holdings, which is all technology, right? VGT is solid. I owned VGT for quite a while, right? But VGT is solid. I mean, the returns, crazy. What did I say the returns were? I might have said it already, but I don't know if I said it, but I'm going to go back and see what are the returns for the year. I think we said it was 19%. Yep, 19.03%. So if you're a Vanguard person, you're looking for a place to own a nice chunk of Nvidia, along with Microsoft and some of the other big boys, VGT is a place where you want to be, right? VGT on our list is number, and these aren't in good to bad. This is just randomly numbered, is number 5. Now, for number 6, I'm going to stay at Vanguard. I'm going to show you MGK. MGK is that mega, right? MGK is mega. We're taking some while, but there we go. So it's mega cap. Remember, cap Small cap, mid cap, large cap, that has to do with the market share, how big it is, right? In terms of the share price multiplied by the outstanding shares that are out there. That's the size in terms of cap, right? So mega cap means huge, huge. By the way, if you're trying to compare, and I might compare them for you, but if you're trying to compare VGT to MGK, one of the biggest differences is that VGT has a lot more holdings. I think there's maybe 300 or 400 companies in VGT, whereas MGK only has maybe 90, 100, maybe 80 companies in the bucket. But again, this is mega cap. Low expense ratio at 0.07. Year-to-date return 21%, 21.5%. Slightly larger return than VGT. PE ratio slightly above at 47. Our 52-week range, it went from 218 per share up to 330 per share for the year. And what are the holdings in MGK? We'll see it. My computer's slow, but we're getting there, guys. Again, Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia together make up about 37%, 38%. 63% in the top 10 holdings. But again, you got your big boys here. You really don't need to own VGT and MGK, right? I mean, just sometimes, guys, with ETFs, you have to be careful about what's called overlap, where you got the same companies predominant in this ETF and in this ETF. And when you compare them, they're pretty much the exact same return or close, right? And you can do that, right? You can have VGT and MGK, right? I'm not mad at you for doing it, but I'm just saying you have to understand the concept of overlap. And sometimes you don't, and we might get into that a little more in just a bit. But MGK is another solid place where 11% of the bucket of the ETF is wrapped up in Nvidia. MGK. MGK is number 6 on the list. Number 7 on the list is BOTZ. BOTZ. Let's pull up that ticker symbol. That's an ETF. And this ETF, BOTZ, is kind of revolves around robotics and AI, right? Robotics and AI. GPU stuff. AI companies, right? Now, just a quick summary on BOTZ, BOTZ, guys. Low, fairly low, but not as low as some of the others at 0.68 on the expense ratio. Year-to-date return is only 10.89%. So this is actually, BOTZ, BOTZ, has actually returned less than the S&P 500. Only 2.67 billion, a lot of money, but only 2.67 billion in net assets on this one. PE ratio still around 43. This is a very inexpensive ETF in terms of a share price, $31.56 per share if you want to get into it. Right? And some of the holdings, without looking at the chart, we know it's returned 10.89% year to date, meaning from January 1st to today. That's year to date. If you hear me say year over year, that's the last 365 days, right? So in this one, Nvidia is up to 12%, almost 12% of the holdings, but it's got ABB Limited. It's got some smaller ones in there, right? FINUC, right? Cognex, and some of these that are in the mid-cap range. As you may or may not know, small cap, mid cap over the last 10, 12 years haven't been winners, right? What's been winners is large cap tech, right? Large cap tech in general has been winners. So these other companies, although Nvidia has been knocking the ball out the park this year, these other companies haven't been doing so. But some of these companies have some large potential growth in the future as robotics and AI take off, right? If you notice the sector weightings on here, 44% of technology, industrials make up almost 40%. Then there's some healthcare and so forth in here. But for the most part, 65% is in these top 10 holdings that has this one large cap, but it has a bunch of mid cap, small caps as well. That's BOTZ. If you're into robotics, you understand the way of the world in terms of robotics, this might be one for you. Again, with all of these ETFs that I'm mentioning here, guys, you must, double must. You must do your own research. But again, the beauty of ETFs is the research is not nearly as extensive as the research with individual stocks. Somebody asked a question. Let me go back and grab it. It was a while back. I started investing in the FTSE All World. What's your thoughts on FTSE? Now, that's an old comment, by the way. And I'm going to go back and see if I can answer it. Let me just do this real quick. FTSE All World. I'm not an all world guy. So I'm not a big fan of all, world ETFs. Nothing wrong with them if you like them, right? And looking at the year to date on FTSE, it's had some goodness. Now, since May or so, it's kind of flattened out. But I'm just looking at performance. I have no other comment on FTSE because I got to do some research, right? But I've never been big on these world big, all over the world, VT over on Vanguard, VT, just have never been a big fan of those. But I'd have to do my research on FTSE specifically before I can give you a definitive answer on that. So I wanted to go back and grab that one. That one's from a while back. Chewy in the house. Goodness gracious. Chewy, I appreciate you, Chewy. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. I think you already gave you appreciate you. But if I did, I'm giving it to you again, right? Giving you your flowers again, man. Bees Nuts, appreciate you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for dropping that super chat. Thank you for always being positive. You're welcome. We got enough negativity out here in the world, man. We got enough negativity and people being mean to each other and people not liking each other. I don't agree with you, so I hate you, and I'm going to be, not be your friend no more because you said something I don't like. We got too much of that out there, man. We need to have a lot more positivity out in the world, right? A lot more people smiling, shaking hands. I'm an old school person, man, so I like that old school people just being nice people, treating everybody well, and just respecting each other's opinions, Remember about 30 years ago when everybody's opinions really didn't matter too much, right? I like that era, right? I don't like the era where everybody has an opinion and people don't like each other because of their opinion. Look, you may not like me because of my opinion on something, and that's okay. We can still be friends and respect each other, right? That's what the world is all about. Mrs. Moore's in the house. Thank you so much for being here, Mrs. Moore. I appreciate you as always showing up and supporting the channel and doing what you do. So, BOTZ. BOTZ is number 7 on our list. Number 8 on our list is, I think somebody mentioned this one earlier, FTEC. FTEC. Let's take a look at that one. FTEC. Now, FTEC, and it's working in the background. It provides you information, or it provides you a bucket of stocks that tracks what they call the MSCI, or information technology from the USA IMI. I'll let you look it all up, right? But FTEC is from Fidelity. It's an ETF, low expense ratio at 0.08. Whenever you see an expense ratio that's 0.0 anything, it's very, very cheap, right? Year-to-date return on this one is 19%. Huge, right? Are you supposed to take the H out of huge and say huge, right? 19% is above the S&P. So it's doing what it's supposed to do, right? It's doing what it's supposed to do, tracking technology. Now, keep in mind, guys, when you're tracking technology and technology is doing great, big returns. When you're tracking technology with these ETFs and technology maybe has a lull, ETF has a lull, right? Thing to keep in mind about ETFs is ETFs are not designed typically to outperform by large amounts. It may outperform because of what's in the bucket, But if you want to get the type of returns that Nvidia had as a single stock year over year, 200%, 300%, 400%, and you want to become this millionaire with Nvidia over the next, 10, 15 years, you think it's going to go from trading at $117 to trading at $1,500, two more splits in the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, you're not going to be able to get that type of growth on your money through these ETFs. You have to realize that when you reduce the risk by having it in an ETF, you also reduce the chances for exponential growth. So you have to weigh that. If you have it in an ETF, do you want to play it safe in an ETF and still get above average returns perhaps, but not get the big highs? But it also means you won't get the big lows. If the bottom fell out of AI right now, legislation came out or something crazy happened, the bottom fell out of AI, if you have Nvidia in an ETF or if you have technology in general, you're going to see a dip, right? You're going to see a dip, big dip, depending on how much technology you have in your ETF. But in some of these ETFs, you won't see a huge dip. Let's say Nvidia goes belly up tomorrow. You won't see a huge bottom drop out of your ETF if Nvidia is only 10% or 15% of your ETF. Yes, you'll see it go down. But remember, with risk comes reward. The more risk you take, the more potential reward you have. So FTEC, let's see here, 52-week range, 118 to 181, currently trading at 170 per share. Again, on Fidelity, many of you actually have Fidelity, I'm sure. Let's look at the holdings that's in the bucket called FTEC. So Apple, almost 17, or a little over 17%, 17.5%. Microsoft, Nvidia has 13.09% of the amount of weight in the bucket. 99% of this is technology, right? 61% of the entire total assets of this ETF are wrapped up in the top 10. Got Cisco, Accenture, Adobe, Broadcom, Salesforce, AMD is in there as well. So a nice chunk. 13% is a nice chunk. 13% is a nice chunk, right? 19% year to date, right? In terms of return. Now, finally, number 9. Number 9. You're going to say, number 9? What? Yes, number 9 is this, guys. Number 9 is one of my favorites. VOO. And you're saying, well, Nvidia doesn't have a whole lot in VOO. We'll take a look at it. But VOO is it? Okay. VOO is the same as SPY. It's the same as IVV. These are all S&P 500 ETFs. VOO just happens to be, VOO just happens to be on Vanguard. Okay. But Vanguard's S&P 500 ETF, this is not a technology ETF. But the year-to-date return is actually higher than I thought. Year-to-date return is 19%. That's a crazy year-to-date return, guys. Look at the expense ratio, 0.03%. Super duper cheap to own VOO. Again, this is also the same as IVV, SPY over on Schwab. They're all S&P 500 ETFs. I wanted to bring in VOO or these S&P 500 ETFs for the people that don't want to own a technology ETF, don't want to put $10,000 into a technology ETF. Look at the net assets, 1.2 trillion. PE ratio, low, 28.22. Fairly low. Not as low as it could be, but 28.22 is not too bad. When you're looking at some of the others we saw that were 40 and 45. Actually, 28.22 in terms of being the overall S&P 500 PE ratio, traditionally you would have said it's high. But remember what we always say, technology usually has larger PE ratios because they're built for growth. And right now in the S&P 500, technology rules the day, so it's going to push up the PE ratio in the S&P 500. And this particular VU has gone from 375 to 519, and it's trading right now at 518. So it's just about the highest it's been in the last 52 weeks, right? The highest it's been in the last. Here's a chart for year to date for VOO, S&P 500, right? Boom, 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 boom. See, it goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down, goes down way, goes up, 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 up. This is what we see. If you own VU, you understand. And some of you say, well, it's trading pretty high. Yeah, it is, right? Let's look at the holdings. And the holdings are going to show you how much technology is in VOO. How much technology is in VOO. Apple, 6.7, almost 7%. Microsoft, 6.7. Nvidia is only 6.2. You're saying, wow, that's not a lot. That's cool. It's not a lot. Remember, 19% year-to-date return. Still huge. Let's look at the top 10. 34% of VOO is wrapped up in the top 10, which is mostly technology. 32% of the entire S&P 500 is technology. The top 10, it consists of what? Tesla, Broadcom, outdid both Alphabets, Meta, Amazon, Nvidia, these are all technology companies in the top 10. But you got a little more dispersion amongst these folks, right? You don't have anybody with 18, 19, 15% in one company. Spread around. VOO, one of my favorites. That's my 10, guys. That's my 10. That's my 10. ETFs, in my opinion, that are the top ETFs that hold Nvidia. Nothing fancy, right? But nothing dramatic, nothing fancy. But keep in mind, by the way, as I said, you only need one S&P 500 ETF. Don't get caught up in trying to get every S&P 500 ETF because that's too much overlap, right? For some people, guys, digging into the details, buying single stocks is fun, fun, fun. For others, we don't want to dig into single stocks. Some folks, right? But again, ETFs, best of both worlds. ETFs can be bought and sold on the stock market, stock exchange, like a single stock. They're less risky. You spread your diversity around a little bit. We always talk about diversification, right? Your move in this whole thing, in this Nvidia craze, and I know Nvidia dropped. What is Nvidia trading at right now, guys? Let me see here. Let me look at all the, because we won't get back on the stock exchange until Tuesday. 119. Perhaps a buying opportunity, right? Create your plan of action, guys. Create your core beliefs, your strategy, your goals, your checklist. Even if you buy ETFs, still create a checklist. Don't approach it like it's gambling. Approach it like it's something you got to study for and research for and prepare for. Be consistent. Invest in what you know. Risk what you can afford to lose. Consider strongly ETFs if you don't do ETFs to diversify yourself. Think about reinvesting dividends. I like to reinvest them. Most of all, don't panic. Somebody asked me about NVDL and NVDY for options. I don't play with those. More risk. I don't want to take those risks, right? I don't purchase all those. If I want to purchase Nvidia, I'll purchase one of these solid, reputable ETFs. And I don't do options and all that. Now, some people do, and that's okay if that's what you do. I'm not mad at you. But today, I don't do options, right? Somebody said, S&P 500, you can't lose. No, you're right. You're going to be in good shape with an S&P 500. Keem. Oh, Keem. Good to have you. Thank you, Keem, for the super chat. I love your content, bro. What about VUG? I'm just now getting to catch your stream. Glad you're here, so I'm not mad. I'm not sure if you have mentioned. I did not mention VUG, but just because you mentioned VUG, let me take a look at VUG real quick. Let's pull up VUG. That's the Vanguard Growth Index Fund, currently trading at 375. Let's see here. Let's go year date real quick. Let me actually plug it into my ticker symbol real quick. Let's see here. Boom. Yeah, we are just so slow over here. Give me a second here. Here it is right here. VUG, super duper cheap, 0.04% expense ratio. Year to date, woo, I like this, 21.11%. 21.11%. Great, great, great. Great, great, great. Let me look at the holdings in VUG. Vanguard's growth. Lots of Apple. Apple has about 12.9% of it. Microsoft about 12.4%. Nvidia, great mention too. Nvidia is almost 11% of this ETF called VUG. Appreciate you bringing that one up. I like it. It's heavy on technology, about 50%. I say heavy. It's about 50% technology, but the top 10 holdings has a lot of technology in it. Top 10 holdings hold about 60% of the total assets, but it's got about 50% of technology in it. I like it. Not bad at all. Thank you for bringing that one up. Very good one. And I appreciate the super chat. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Keem. I got it right. Keem. I like VUG. I like VUG. Guys, you got to do me a favor. Do me a solid and hit the thumbs up button for me, all right? When you hit the thumbs up button and you like it, what that does is it lets YouTube, the algorithm, know that this is a one they should push out to other people. And I know a lot of folks are thinking about NVIDIA, heard about NVIDIA, but just haven't pulled the trigger on it just yet. And this may be an opportunity for you to do that as opposed to the single stock. So, guys, I said it wouldn't be a long one, and I made it a longer one than I wanted to do. And that's okay, right? Just answering questions and information because that's important to do, guys. I'm here for you. Do me a favor. Check the description box below. We got some good stuff down there, some free stuff. Check all that good stuff out. If you know somebody that's interested in getting to the stock market ETFs, send this video to them so they can see the things that I look at when I actually invest in ETFs, right? And I have an ETF portfolio as well, right? And I have some videos over on Patreon. We might do a video here on this channel in the next few days talking about exactly what I have, right? I just did one maybe a week ago, or I'm sorry, about a month ago. Do me a favor, as Mrs. Morris pointed out, please hit the thumbs up button, guys. I hope this was able to help some of you guys. Let me know if this was a help for you guys in the comment section below. Don't forget, if you're watching this on replay, to drop me a comment and let me know if there's anything, if there's another top ETF that I may have missed. Put it in the comment section, or at least let me know what you thought about this content in the comment section as you watch this on replay. Let's see here. A couple more. Thanks. Willie Willow said, appreciate you. Enjoy the rest. Thank you. Long weekend, right? Labor Day weekend coming up here, guys. Labor Day weekend is here. So we got a long weekend. Hopefully you guys can enjoy the weekend, have some fun, have some relaxation. It is Labor Day. Okay, good. We got a couple thumbs up. Sunset on the Oceans here. Good to have you here. Haven't read that name in quite a bit. So let's see if I got all the boom. Yeah, Chewy was on me. Okay, thank you again, Chewy. Thank you again, Bees. Thank you again, Keem. I appreciate it more than you know. You guys are a help to this chat. Mrs. Moore, you're a huge help to this chat. And you guys, again, feel free to rewind this back from the beginning, write down some of these ticker symbols, and do your own research. Don't rely on me. I'm not a financial planner, or I'm just a guy that sits on the internet, does the investing, watches these things, and I want to help other people as much as I can with their investments. Regular people, right? Not the big time folks, the people that want to build wealth. So on this channel, guys, we talk about how to save money, how to manage money, how to do your budget, how to do your net worth statement, how to think in a different way, how to make changes in what you think about and your approach to money, your approach to your personal finances. We talk about what's happening in the world around us that affects our personal finances. the Fed and what they do in terms of the Fed funds rate and raising it, lowering it, keeping it the same, how that affects the stock market. We talk about the stock market in general sometimes, right? In terms of individual stocks, in terms of Nvidia, in terms of ETFs, right? Because there's a big picture out there in terms of money, a big picture. And I try to hit a lot of, I could zero in and only do videos about Nvidia. I could zero in and only do videos about the stock market. But I prefer to hit the well-rounded piece because there's a lot of things you got to think about when you're dealing with money, not just let me go invest my money. How do you actually, what's your strategy? How do you set goals? How do you do a budget? All these things matter for individuals who are looking to get better with their money. So that's our approach here on this channel, guys. It's not glamorous. It's not fancy. I don't have no bling bling. I'm not going to be out showing you my new houses and cars and all that. I'm not going to do any of that. It's very basic because I'm a basic person, and that's all I can bring to the table is me, right? Not trying to be anything different, anything more fancy than who I am, guys. And this information is really educational to help you. I'm not into the financial entertainment. I'm into the financial education, right? Which is oftentimes not as glamorous, but it's effective. So I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. You can check us out at smartmoneybro.com. Follow me on any social media that you're on. Look up Smart Money Bro. I'm there. I appreciate you guys more than you know. Thank you so much. I hope this Nvidia stock is not going to get the best of you. But these are my top 9 ETFs here to own Nvidia stock in a safer way if that's what you want to do. Listen, as I always say, the absolute best person to take care of the old you is the young you. Take good care of yourself, guys. Take care of other people. Have a good, long Labor Day weekend. Until the next video, peace.